Today we are going to get into the hips, and before we begin our class I want to express the importance of flexing our foots here. So flexing is when our pointing, flexing, the opposite of that. And that's really important as we turn the knee out into this external hip rotation. You want to reach out through the big toe mound, pull the toes back towards you here, and find this flexing of the ankle. So as you move into anything hip related, such as pigeon and all sorts of things, this is going to help protect your knee joint. So keep that in mind. Maybe go ahead and play with how to flex your feet just now. I just ate a banana and it's coming back up on me. So let's start in a easy cross-legged position. Don't worry about flexing your feet here. Bring your hands to your knees, sit up really tall. And just like we do at the start of all classes, connect to your breath. So just take a couple of deep breaths. Close down your eyes. And your breath doesn't have to be a particular way. It doesn't have to be this smooth, even cadence, but begin to notice what it's already like and then attempt to make it smoother. Without too much effort though. Just make it really easy. And the same with your posture. Can you sit up really tall here? You can always sit on a pillow as well if it's a bit uncomfortable like that. Sit up really tall, draw the shoulders back and make it natural as well. So it's barely any effort to sit up tall, to breathe smooth. It's halfway effort and halfway ease. And yoga is about combining those two opposing forces in our body so that when we get off of our mats, we can also combine opposing forces and be in a place of centeredness. And as you drop into a sense of stillness, then we can begin our practice of moving. So keep your eyes closed, hands onto your knees. Pull your chest forward, your shoulders back, and find a little bit of a back bend here. Take a breath in, and then fold forward over this cross-legged position here. And you can bring your head down, dropping your forehead down towards the floor. Now, if your hips are really tight, you might be on a block, and you might be barely folded forward here. That is okay. That is where your limit is. So the shape doesn't matter, but the sensation of feeling into the shape and feeling into a stretch is what we're aiming for here. Let's take another inhale, uncross the legs the other way. You can open your eyes if you haven't. Draw your shoulders back, lift your chest, find a bit of a back bend here, and then forward fold again. So it's a very passive stretch into the hips here. Drop your head down. You might be quite down. You might be upright. That is depending on the shape of your bones as well as your muscles, if they're stretched out or not. Come all the way back up. Let's come into a tabletop position. Hands in front. And we'll start with the left leg because it's facing here. So reach the left leg out. The tendency is here is when we move this top leg, the arms are going to want to bend and collapse here. So try to push the arms into the floor, straighten the arms, and even almost making like a dome shape from the chest upwards here. So a lot of strength into the shoulders. So have a look underneath, toes tucking under, and then lift the heel up. You should feel that into the butt a little bit here. and then start to roll the hip open, bend the top knee. Your right arm is going to want to bend, keep it straight, and it's going to want to bend even more as you roll this leg. Try to touch the knee towards the shoulder, and then bring it into center like you're trying to smell your knee. And then on your inhale, stretch it back out, and we'll roll the hip a few times like that. The exhale will give this rolling, rounded, juicy sensation. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. This time we'll take the foot and cross it behind the right. Look behind your right leg, and then slide your knee, or your foot I should say, all the way back. You're coming into this kind of asymmetrical pigeon shape at the back of the mat here. You can settle in, maybe drop your forearms down. That's cool. Couple of breaths. It's getting into that right hip now. And then from here, we'll come all the way back up into table. Slide that leg back. Once again, roll, push your right arm to straight, and then step the foot to the outside of that right hand. So you're into what's called a lizard lunge. I like to take the back foot or the back knee a little bit further back here. You can stay with your arms upright, or you can come onto a prop, place your forearms down. If you're feeling more open, forearms can come down onto the mat. You can lift your back knee up, which will create more sensation into the back leg, obviously, but it'll get some pressure off of the knee if you have any knee issues there. So choose what you'd like. You should feel a lot of sensation all in that left side hip. You're just settling in. Keep the big toe mound plugged down for now for this variation, and you can roll your knee open but keep the foot down. And come up a little bit, reach your right arm forward, and then you're going to spin all 10 toes over towards the left. Roll onto the right hip here, and you can take that foot in. So like Cleopatra position. Reach your left arm back like you're trying to touch your toes, and then push into all parts touching the floor. Lift your hips up, reach your top arm overhead. And this will be some strengthening and stretching into the hips. Release down, reach back, stretch through that right side body here. And then inhale up, lift upwards, exhale, lower down. Keep moving that knee open. Last time, inhale up, exhale, lower. And then come forward to tabletop position, shake that leg out. Change sides, so right leg, stick it out. Notice what's going on in the shoulders and the core, so push your hands down. Find a core engagement here so you're not sagging. And then look down underneath at the toes. So this is your square shaped into the pelvis. So you're lifting from the inner thigh here, just for a moment. And then we'll open, roll the hip, bend the top knee. Bring it all the way over to the outer shoulder. Try to resist the urge to bend that left arm, knee to nose. Stretch it all the way back. Inhale. Roll. Exhale, knee to nose. Last time, inhale. Roll it. Try to tap the knee to the shoulder. Stretch it back out. And this time, tuck it behind, cross it, look over the left shoulder, and then move the hips over towards the right. And then from here, go ahead and slide the foot back, getting into that left hip here. Settle in. See if you can relax your body. So there's a difference between flexibility and mobility, whereas this is more like we're getting into flexibility. We're finding a passive way of stretching, and mobility is finding an active way to stretch. So this is quite just chill. We're getting into a stretch. finding our hip flexibility. And then as we come up and we're moving from the hip, using these muscles to roll open, that is more of a mobility thing. We're using our muscle to find maximum range motion. Step the right foot forward here and enter into lizard lunge. So option, arms straight, come down onto any height. Now, if you're finding that you really want to bring your forearms down onto the mat, but this one just doesn't want to mush down, then come onto a block. So you want both forearms equal here. Big toe mound is grounded, but you can roll the knee open here. And once again, back knee can lift if you'd like, or keep it down. Another common thing is that we really round into the spine. Try to stretch the chest forward towards your hands here. That'll intensify it, but it's nicer for the spine to give you that length. Your right hand or left hand will come out into the left a little bit, and then you'll roll onto the left hip, point all 10 toes towards the right side, and you can always lock that foot back in. Reach the right arm back on your inhale, take it up and over, lower down, up and over. So push into that right foot to give you that height. Inhale, push down through that foot. You're using a lot of muscles to give you that position. And then we'll come all the way back into our tabletop position. First, downward facing dog. So lift your hips up and back, pedal out the feet. Try to push your hands down and forward so you're moving your chest closer towards your thighs. And if your hamstrings are feeling tight, bend into your knees so that your focus is more on the lengthening of the spine rather than of the lengthening of the hamstrings. That's the secondary action. You want to find a lot of length, get your hips up really high, drop your head, and then maybe ground down through the heels, straighten the legs. So from here, we'll start with the right leg. Right leg, reach it up. Have all toes facing down. And then lift from the inner right thigh. So it's like you're kind of kicking it up towards the ceiling. So that's that neutral shape. Then roll the hip open, bend the top knee, shift the shoulders forward over the wrist like you're trying to bring your top foot towards your head. So lifting up, come up high onto the tippy toes. And then as you step your foot forward, you're going to roll it just like we did into that table position. So shift the shoulders over, try to tap the knee towards the shoulder and then step it forward here. So you're in a high lunge position. Couple of bounces here, but what we're gonna do is come onto the outer edge of that right foot. The knee is rolling open. This is the importance of flexing that foot there, which I talked about earlier. And then just going deep in your range of motion and coming back out a little bit. So really slow kind of bounces where you're just going in a little bit further, coming back out. Use your fingers as well, or maybe your hands if you have your hands down, to give you that lift. Nice. From here, we'll plant our hands, step it all the way up and back into that three-legged dog. And then step the same leg, step that right foot forward to the outside of the hand. This time, lower the back knee down. Keep your left hand down, reach your right arm forward like you're going all the way forward. So get really low, get your chest low, take it up and back towards your back heel. Inhale. And exhale, reach forward, lower down. Put all the weight, especially to that big toe mound for now. Inhale up. Exhale forward. Inhale, back up. This time, roll the front foot open here. So coming onto the outer edge of that front foot. And here, optional if you want to grab hold of that foot and you can pull the heel in towards the butt, go for it. If that's super uncomfortable on your knee, you can skip it, or sometimes it's cool to grab a strap as well and do it that way. But if you find yourself in this kind of like weird shape where you're just not quite there yet, there's better ways to stretch out your thighs than doing that. This is just a little bonus on this hip opening position if you want to take it there. Make sure your knee is all right with it though. If not, don't even worry about it. And then from here, we will come back into downward facing dog and just give the legs a little bit of a pedal there. You should feel a lot of sensation that built up. Go the other side. So first just hover the foot off of the floor. The left foot, hover it off of the floor. And then leading from the heel, come all the way up. So look at the toes. The toes are pointing down. And that will give you this sensation of having a neutral pelvis here. Just feels a little bit more awkward than rolling it open. So just to feel that sensation. Whoa. Now go ahead, roll the hip. Come up high onto the right tippy toes, bend the top knee, shift the shoulders forward like you're trying to touch your toes towards the back of your head. Take a breath in. And then same thing as before, roll the hip around the rib cage here. You're going to step it forward between the hands. Sometimes it doesn't want to land and you can hoist it up there. That's cool. Scooch the back foot back a little bit and we'll come into these kind of bouncy lunges. So roll, the foot's in the center of the mat, roll to the outer edge of the foot. Move the knee down and open here. The importance of this flexed foot, so you don't want to sickle the foot like that where you're just kind of putting pressure onto the ankle, but this foot is flexed and active here. And you're moving, bouncing down into it, coming up out of it, lower down, maybe lift the chest a little bit at the bottom. Inhale. Exhale. It's kind of like a massage. It's like a stretching massage. Last one, inhale. And then from here, you'll come all the way back into three-legged dog. Roll the hip open here, and then step the foot on the outside of the hand. Lower the back knee down. Reach the left arm forward, and then inhale, open up, take the arm behind you. Reach it forward, take it back. Inhale forward, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale back. And again, big toe mound is grounded here. This time, if you want for the thigh stretch, roll open onto that hip and then grab hold of the foot or place the strap around it. I think of this as like a Santa Claus bag where I'm just hoisting it over the shoulder here. You can stay upright, you can come down onto the forearm, you can pull the foot in, lift the chest. Choose your own adventure. Maybe you're fine with the stretch on this leg, but not on the other. That's okay to do it on one side, even though we're trying to seek a balanced approach in our body, but sometimes that doesn't happen. Release. Plant your hands down, step back into downward facing dog. Just wiggle the legs around here. Push your chest towards your toes. Come up high onto your tippy toes, breathe in, and then bend your knees. And you can step or you can pounce to a squat at the top. So just your feet on the outsides of your hands. And then you'll sit all the way down into a squat. So you can use a block here. You can use a block to sit on. You can always come up onto your heels if your heels don't reach the floor. Or if you want to make this more challenging, you can have your heels down. Go as low as you can. Push your elbows into your knees. And you're using your butt muscles to keep you lifted. So lift the spine up. After a couple breaths, you'll find that it's intense doing that low active squat. And from here, we'll find a supported skandasana. So we'll take the right foot out. Keep the left knee bent here. So right toes pointing up towards the ceiling. Lean forward, but try to move that knee back. And then take the shoulder in front of the knee, sweep the arm out, reach the right arm up. Keep the right foot flexed, lift the chest, breathe in. And then change sides. So you have to lean back a little bit, right foot in, shift around, left foot out. Wiggle around, find the position, flex into the foot. Lean forward but move the knee out, right shoulder into inner right knee, left arm up, inhale. And then go down. So we're going to try this without the block from side to side. So move that guy off to the side. Feet pretty wide here. We're going to start up from standing actually. This is going to make it a little bit more challenging, but you got it. We'll start with the left knee, bend into the left knee. As you go down, you'll lift the right toes up. This is a miniature version. You can start sinking lower, lower, lower. And you can always come onto the tippy toe and reach the heels up. That's fine, I've seen that done as well. But I encourage you, rather than doing that for the sake of getting nice and low, keep the heel down and work with this active squat. So you can push your elbow into your knee, lower, come back up, that was hard. Go to the other side, lift the left toes, put the elbow into the knee. If you've got this space, you can lower all the way down here. But the more you kind of hang out here, it actually ends up being easy. If you're lifted up like that, you're working your outer butt muscles here to give you that active range of motion, to give you that lift up and out. Rather than coming up, you can always sneak your arms forward to one side as well. Okay, from here we'll go left side one more time, toes reach up. And then come forward, so frame your hands on either side of your right foot, back foot down here. And then from here we'll take that three-legged dog, inhale, and downward facing dog. Let's flow it out. We haven't done any vinyasa flows or anything because that's not really what these videos are about, but we'll find a flow here just to clean out the hips. Find a rinse cycle. Come up high into your tippy toes, breathe in, and then shift forward into a high plank. You can always lower the knees down or keep them lifted. Shift the shoulders over the wrists, and then just bend halfway. So the shoulders, rather than dumping forward, they're still in line-ish with the elbows. Elbows are squeezing in, chest is lifted. Here, maybe. Lower all the way down, untuck the toes, roll the shoulders back and down, so elbows go down, lift the chest, and then come back just into a child's position for now. Just wiggle down, find your breath. Do a couple more standing poses. Rather than taking them from down dog, stepping forward, we'll just step it from here into a tabletop. Right foot's forward. Back foot, you're going to spin it around so it is kind of heel to arch alignment here-ish. Come all the way up. Warrior two position. So legs, hips are square and we'll bend into the right knee. So as we bend into the right knee, the common tendency is the knee wants to poke in and the butt sticks out here, which I'm over exaggerating. But think about the right hip going back and the knee going forward and out a little bit. So you can see the big toe on the inside of the knee. And then don't forget about the back leg. Try to smush the outer edge of the back foot in towards the mat here. And then from here, warrior two, look forward. So you can stay upright if it's a bit challenging. If you want to challenge yourself, you go in nice and deep. And most importantly, rather than just like pushing through, is breathing in this position. Everything's going to get tired and your thoughts are going to be like, oh, this sucks. Why is she making me do this? I hate it. It's too bad. On your inhale, reverse this warrior. And then on your exhale, you'll place the forearm onto the thigh. You've always got a little block or something you can put down any level towards the inner leg here. So the arm on the inside of the knee is cool because you can kind of push it open that way. That right hip is going back and in. Top arm can come up and overhead. There's always options to get in a little bit deeper, take some binds, etc. If that's in your practice, go for it. Otherwise, we'll just stay here. Concentrating not so much on the side bend, even though that's an aspect of it, but this rolling the hip open. And you can feel this backside muscles opening it up there like that. Then from here, come all the way back up into a reverse warrior. Maybe straighten that leg if it's getting tired. And then windmill the arms back down. Change sides. Left foot forward. Block in front of the left foot. Turn and ground the back heel. Come all the way up. I'm going to go to the other side here. So just to check that your pelvis is neutral here, rather than starting from a wonky place here. It's not overly important that the pelvis is neutral, but just to start off, it gives us that good foundation of where symmetry lies. Bend into your left knee, moving the knee open, so you can see that big toe. And then don't forget about this leg. Push into the outer edge of the foot, like you're trying to hold on to a piece of paper that somebody's pulling out. Good description. You can stay upright. You can go low. Take your arms out. Roll them open here so your chest is lifted, and then just turn the arms back. This is a position which is, you kind of feel like you've got it, and then if you've ever seen it in a mirror, you're like, oh, I never knew my arm was way back there. So it's good to just check around to see where your body is in space here. Find your breath. Your whole body is turned on and active, and you can deal with it, because you can. I know you have it in you. Let's reverse this. Inhale. And then forearm to thigh to start off with. Top arm up, or hand down onto block, floor, etc. You can keep the arms lifted away from each other here and focus on moving that left hip back and in rather than sticking the butt out. And then maybe that top arm wants to come overhead here. Imagine someone's pulling that piece of paper out from the back of your back foot there. Smush it down if you can. And then we'll reverse the warrior all the way back up. And come up. Cartwheel down. I'm going to go to the other side of my mat again. And back into downward facing dog. Lift up high onto the tippy toes, bend your knees. You can step or hop, come to a forward fold at the top, dangle. Roll all the way up. Now from here, we'll find a standing balance position. So I will do it facing this way. I'm standing at the top of the mat, doesn't matter where you stand, I'm just doing that for camera angle sake. You can always grab hold of a strap here as well for this one. Bring the right knee up into the chest, move the leg out to the side. So you're finding this active range of motion to get that knee to open by itself, rather than using something with passive stretch here. Strap around the foot, open the knee out. Really focus on pushing the left foot down and into the floor, like you're trying to grow roots out of your feet. Left hand to the hip. You can start to extend into that right leg here. If you've got hold of the big toe mound or the outer edge of the foot or anything like that, you can do that as well. Maybe it wants to straighten, maybe it doesn't. And the trying to bring that right hip, rather than up and over, descend it down and back in here. You can use the other arm for some balance, lift up through the crown of the head, and then re-bend into the knee. And we'll make a figure 4 shape. So this is that shape where the flexion of the foot is really important. The shape of 4. You'll bend down into your left knee. Hands can come together in front of the heart. Deep stretch in that right hip here. It's pretty juicy. Your hands can come down all the way down towards the floor, and you can even step it back into like a sort of a downward dog-ish figure 4. And then walk your hands back. This one's really tricky, optional. Try to sit onto the heel. Whew. Find a little bit of a balance. And then sit back down behind you. You're still with this figure 4 shape. So you're going to walk your arms forward and try to get your chest up towards your shin. If all of that, you're just not into that, you can lean back and interlace your hands behind the hamstring and pull in. Either way, we're doing the exact same sensation, which is opening up into that right hip, making sure that right knee is flexed, or foot, I should say, is flexed. And you can sway your hips from side to side here, which feels kind of cool too. From here, we're not quite done with this. We've already gotten super deep into the hip, so we might as well just go a little bit further. Into one of my most hated poses, fire log. And it's always good to do the ones that you hate because they produce this sort of agitation. And if we can breathe through that agitation, that has a real transformative power on all the other times we're agitated. So this is a really intense position, fire log position. I've seen it done where people put the foot onto the knee and then they just sickle the ankle there and lose it. So you've already got this shape here where the outer edge of the foot is behind the knee. And you want to stack it here. So it's kind of cool to have 2 blocks or a pillow if you have some, and you can stack it on that way. Super intense if that feels insane. Put the foot in front of the knee. So the shins are in front of each other. Feet are still flexed and you'll bend forward. If you want that extra sensation, I really like doing this. Put the outer edge of the foot onto a block and then fold forward here. And this is the position when you're into your max range of motion and you're really feeling where your edge is. Your jaw will probably lock and you're just going to just try to deal with it and get through. But see if you can release your face and use your exhale to create some space into the hip. And one breath isn't enough. You have to do a couple just to actually settle in here. And the more that you passively release your breath, the more you might find that you can kind of inch forward, fold forward, lower in, chill out. If you've accidentally gone too far and you're like, nope, you know, you can always come back. This is the beauty of your practice. It's a living thing, and it changes from day to day. You don't find yourself into a shape and then just do that shape. There's always mini micro adjustments, and that's about listening to your body's intuition, which is there. Slowly come back up. Oh, release. Give the legs a little shake. We've got that other side standing up here. So come back to standing. If you use the strap around the foot, place it around the foot. I'm not going to use it on that side, so I want to. First, you want to put all this weight into the right foot. So that is the key. Rather than extending and expanding and opening, this stability is what you're focused on for now. And then knee in towards the chest. You'll have to ignite even that right butt to push the foot down. Lean back, lift the knee up. Right hand to your hip, move the knee open here. You can stay here, that's cool. You can always find tree pose if you prefer instead. Or strap around the foot, peace fingers around the big toe mound, and then lift up. So this is like a half happy baby shape standing up here. You can stretch, resist the urge to open up like that, knocking the bottom knee in. You want to just send that left hip down, then open it up. Stretch up through the chest, through the crown of the head. Inhale here. And then figure four shape. And I know your right leg's probably talking to you here. So lower, lower, lower. Hands down onto the floor. Into your chest. Then you can bring your hands to the floor. And maybe if you'd like to find this shape in downward dog, keep your right knee bent so your left foot doesn't slide off of it like that. You can work with all sorts of deepening aspects here. You might want to just stay upright. Or if one of your legs is tired, give it a shake. Come back in. I'm not a really big fan of like, you got this, you can do it, just push through, no pain, no gain. I think if your body needs a break, you might as well take it, because what's the point of being in pain? I don't really understand that. But I do understand challenge. You want to challenge yourself and push through barriers, not to the point of abusing yourself though. Hands to the floor, come up like this, maybe for a brief moment, find some balance, sit back, lay back down if you'd like to, otherwise lift the chest up, rock from side to side, keep the foot flexed so that your knee is protected from injury. And you know what's to come after this, so you're preparing, you're easing your hip open for this fire log position. I'll face forward again. Right, treat this pose as a whole new pose. So whatever you did on this first side, it might be completely different on this side. That's fine. I like to have my foot over the knee so I can still move my foot. Once again, You can take your foot off. You can always sit onto something as well. That's a good option. Otherwise, the more extreme option, you can place the outer edge of the foot onto that block. Maybe another pillow or something here, which I don't have. And lean forward here. So this side is my tough side. I find myself disliking this side way more. And because of that, I'm like, sweet, did it, now I'm finished. But the challenge is to stay a little bit longer in your trickier side and go in a little bit deeper, even though everything in you says, I don't want to. Once again, this is a moving practice. Any movements, adjusting, coming in and out of positions that you need to do are welcome, because it's your body. I'm guiding you through a practice, but ultimately it's up to you and your body about how you practice and taking those modifications that you need to. Notice in this deep hip stretch what part of your body is clenching and grasping and just trying to deal with it, and see if you can release those parts. So sometimes it's like random tension stored in the calf muscle or into like the toes, or definitely most people have it in the jaw. So just see where those places are, shoulders, and find an element of releasing. Two more breaths here. Slowly come back up. Shake out the legs. And put the soles of the feet together, grab hold of the shins, lift the chest. This should feel slightly better than the other variation. Just for a brief moment there. So we've gotten a lot into the outer hips. We'll do one last thing for the inner hips and then call it a day. So inner hips, inner thighs, I guess I could call it. Sit up nice and tall. Take your hands behind you, squeeze the shoulder blades in, stretch out through the heels. Lift up, and then from here you can come forward, until you feel sensation into the inner thighs. So if you're feeling that lifted up, stay there. You can always bend your knees as well. If you're not feeling anything, you can come forward. Try to get your forearms down first, rather than rounding down into it. So you're walking your hands forward, lifting your chest. Try to drop your elbows before anything. And then slowly lower to a spot where you feel that stretch is present. Everybody has different bodies and different ways that we move, different skeletons. So honor what is going on in your body and work with what you have, obviously. But the acceptance of the body and its movements is such a crucial part of how we move, so that we are moving with awareness and interest rather than push and punishment. Slowly come up. There's like 100 more things I'd love to do in a hip class, but I'll leave it at that for sake of time. And lastly, a little bit of a happy baby position. You can grab the outer edges of the feet and just wiggle it around, or just shake everything out. And you might want to choose your final resting pose in another hip opening like that, soles of the feet together, or just drop everything. Make sure you get out all the fidgeting and then rest. Breathe in and out through the nose. completely let go of your body. So it's like your body is sinking into the mat and you are not doing anything but being aware that you're here. Sometimes I find it useful in Shavasana, especially if your mind is particularly racing, maybe just counting the breath. So take an inhale to count to 1. An exhale is also the number 1. And then all the way up to 5 or 10 or however long. Really concentrate on how it feels to breathe in, like number 2, and release, number 2. And just count in your head with these breaths to give you a sense of being here still. Once again, you can stay here as long as you like. A good 10 minutes is just awesome, or you can sit up for your own meditation. Otherwise, hug your knees in, roll to the side, come up. Thank you so much for joining me again. I hope your hips feel really open and spacious, and you have a sense of control or an awareness of how they move a little bit better. Thank you. Namaste.